Good evening, everybody. This is Omnibros Live. Sorry for the mix-up. You can blame your grand poobah for that one. You can blame Riley on that one. But I hope everybody is doing well today. Today is April 6th. And today, Omnibros Live. And of course, I always forget for that one.
Sorry.
I hope everybody's doing well. And today we are talking about Legion. So I'm going to warn you right now. Before this even starts, we are going to be doing Q&A first because we have fans out there. They were like, "Hey, we're not going to be able to watch the end of the show because we don't want spoilers for Legion." So we're going to be taking questions now, and then we're going to talk about Legion in a spoiler-free capacity, and then we are going to spoil this bitch where everything is off limits. We're going to talk about the entire season. We're going to go into detail, our theories, and all that other stuff as far as what next season is going to entail and things like that. So I'm glad that you are able to join us. And with me, as always, is your grand poobah. You know him as the man who has the most knowledge on the X-Men that I think I've ever met. He is single-handedly trying to collect every Thor issue. And he's a great guy as well. And if you've had car problems, you can reach him. This is, of course, Riley Moore. He is single-handedly trying to collect
Jess.
I'm just dropping the ball on that introduction. It was going so well until the end.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to do all this stuff with my iPad and my iPhone from my hotel room, and I'm just failing.
Oh,
I saw your face right when the noise came on.
And I still can't see the questions, so I think I'm just going to sign off on YouTube. You're going to have to tell me the questions because I can't see them on my phone. So if anybody has a question that's relevant, let me know.
And that is your silver fox, ladies and gentlemen.
Messing it all up.
Coming at you live from about 2 hours away from Riley right now, actually, or an hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah, Jess is really close right now.
Yeah. Close and getting closer.
Jess is in Texas. He's in Texas right now.
Drinking a Texas root beer.
Good stuff. And Jess, for the first time today, had Whataburger. How was that experience, man?
It was good.
Yeah, Whataburger is really good.
I had jalapenos and fried onions on it, and it was delicious.
Yeah, Whataburger is really good. We had one here a few years ago in Orlando, but they shut down like within months. I was like, really? Oh, bastards.
I was quite pleased with it.
Yeah. Yeah. But you haven't had anything until you've had a Junior's Burger over here, pal. I'm telling you.
Right, I know.
I also had Whataburger for dinner today.
Did you really? I could tell by the cup. This episode is sponsored by Whataburger if you haven't gone on yet.
What did you have, Riley?
I had the patty melt. It's a double patty with, I don't know what kind of cheese it is. I don't know if it's Swiss, but it's a white cheese, and it's got grilled onions and like a sauce on it. The sauce looks like it might be based with Thousand Island.
Okay, I'm sure I'll be trying that next then.
On toast, not buns.
Isn't Thousand Island just the Big Mac sauce, basically?
Thousand Island is like everyone's secret sauce.
Yeah.
Including Jack in the Box.
I've never had Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Crack?
Gag in the bag.
But yeah, like I already mentioned, today we're going to be talking about the Legion. So if you got your questions, please go ahead and shoot them to us. Just as a quick thing, I love Legion. I think all of us can agree we all love Legion as well. So, but before we get into that, just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I know the three of us are huge fans of the show. Every week, whenever we watch the episode, we were talking about it. So yeah. I know we've all been anticipating doing a video like this, but the way that the episode's going to be structured, like Louis said, we're not going to do any spoilers until like the very end of the show. So if you want to stay tuned until then, you're perfectly safe. And we'll try and mention that we're about to go into spoilery territory before we hit that. So just to respect everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Did you pick up the Legion Omnibus? Is the material in it any good? You've been getting that question a lot this week, Riley.
Yeah, that all over the group, everyone's been asking, and it's funny because even before this week, when the omnibus was hitting, we would get that question every now and then, and every single time, I would answer, and then Matthew Sibley would both answer yes, like very strong yes. He has it as one of his top 5 X-Men runs of all time. It's one of my top 10 X-Men runs. I've read a good amount of X-Men comics, so I feel like my opinion is kind of educated in that matter. So I highly recommend it. But as I read someone post in the group what they heard from the writer Cy Spurrier, you either love it or you hate it. So there's not really many people who have a middling opinion on that, and that sounds about right. Like, people either come in there and they're like, this is one of the best X-Men comics I've ever read, this is one of the best comics I've read in a while, or they're like, this is bullshit, stupid, like that, blah, blah, blah.
Wow. I'm excited to read it simply because of the TV show, even though everything that I've heard about the Legion Omnibus is that it really doesn't have much to do, the TV show really doesn't have much to do with the comic book.
Not at all. Yeah, the TV show completely went into its own direction. But the one thing that I would say that they both have in common is the fact that they try both to go in new directions with the character. The TV show, of course, establishes the character in a completely different light, while the comic tries to move him away from what he's been known for being, like the out-of-control mutant with extreme power because he can't really completely control his abilities.
Well, I'm genuinely kind of curious because it seems until this, when this was first announced, the TV show, I'll be honest, I was like, Legion? Fucking really? Like, out of all the characters that they could have pulled from, they pulled Legion. And I'll be damned if they didn't pull it off.
Yeah, I don't want to say exactly the same reaction, but I remember whenever they announced it, I was like, huh, that's a weird idea, but if they do pull it off, it could be really interesting.
Yeah.
And also my second thought was, I guess that is one of the characters that has not been featured in any of the movies. So it's a good choice because there's nothing holding them back with this.
Right. Somebody's asking, let's see. I don't have any great knowledge of Green Lantern. Will I be fine reading the Jeff Johns Green Lantern omnibus? Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to triple that yes.
Although I always recommend that you if you can, pick up the core issues because they're at times even better than just Jeff Johns stuff, and they do tie in pretty well.
Yeah, it's true.
I also agree with that.
For me personally, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern was the first solo Green Lantern that I ever read. Before that, I'd only read Green Lantern on team books, and usually it was Guy Gardner or Kyle Rayner. I don't know about you guys. Is that true for y'all?
Same, yeah.
I grew up reading Hal Jordan, so that's who I read.
So this is like the next step of Hal Jordan for you, was seeing what happened to him after Emerald Twilight or whatever. Right. Emerald Dawn?
Emerald Parallax, whatever happened to him.
Yeah, after the events of the reign of the Supermen.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he's infected by the parallax thingamabob, whatever, the bullshit 90s thing.
And speaking of, they're about well, I don't want to say they're going to because DC cancels releases all the time, but they solicited a release for the Green Lantern Kyle Rayner trade paperback, which will be collecting a chunk of those Ron Mars Green Lantern issues about Kyle Rayner. Which, as far as I've ever heard, Ron Mars's run on Green Lantern was really positive.
I just got messaged from Raleigh Smith, who I'm meeting tomorrow, who asked if I got sunburned already. I know I do look really pink.
Is the Texas sun that bad?
I don't know. I was out in it a lot today, but I don't think I don't know why I look so pink. I don't really think I'm this pink, but yeah, it does look like I got like a bad sunburn, but I don't think I did.
It kind of looks like right now you spent the whole day at the beach.
We were
Yeah, my face
mentioning
does look pink.
we were mentioning before we started the show that Jess's camera looks clearer on his iPad, but B, yeah, he looks very pink.
I look horrible, so that's why I want to go back to my computer with the filters on it.
Well, I know for me, like if once I go to the beach, I don't tan. I burn. That is it. There is no like, oh, I tan, then a little bit of a burn. No, I just straight up pink. I burn like a pig.
I guess maybe I did get sunburned today.
Yeah, I get it bad. I get it real, real bad. And my girl who's dark skinned, she's like, oh, she can spend the whole day out. She's perfectly fine. My brother, he looks Middle Eastern, perfectly fine. I get burned. I hate it.
We got another question is, have we read Bendis's Invincible Iron Man? If so, is it good?
I haven't read it.
I haven't read it.
Well, I guess I'm the only one that's read it. I've read both the first one and the current one. The first one started, I believe, directly after Secret Wars, and it originally dealt with Tony meeting up with Doom. Doom post Secret Wars is very different. And then it led into some other different stuff, introduced Riri Williams, who of course would come in the second series as the protagonist, kind of taking the place of Tony Stark while he's comatose. And it also kind of led into the International Iron Man series, which I think International Iron Man is the better of the Bendis-led or Bendis-written Tony Stark Iron Man titles. Overall, if you're a fan of the way that Bendis writes Tony Stark, you should enjoy it. Regardless, it has really nice artwork.
Who's the artist on it again?
Sarah Pichelli is the first artist, and then I believe it goes to Mike Deodato.
Okay.
There might be another artist in there.
I thought Alex Maleev had a crack at it. No.
I was just about to say the International Iron Man series was Alex Maleev.
Okay.
Followed by that was followed up by Infamous Iron Man, which is also Alex Maleev.
Jess, do you know offhand what content that you put into the Red Lanterns? He can't show it to you because he can't show it off to you because he doesn't have it with him.
Right. Well, I am in Texas, but I remember I believe there are 6 or 7 trades. I think there's 6 trades, and I put all 6 trades in there. And I also got the floppies for the Supergirl Red Lantern run, all the various floppies for that. And so I put that in too. That was basically the content. Because I love the Supergirl arc, and I wanted to make sure it was in there. I don't know that it was completely collected in a trade, or it may have been collected in like a Supergirl and a Red Lantern trade, but I just collected them all in floppies and just smushed them all together and said, bind them. So that plus the 6 trades is what's in there.
We had another question. One person said, where can I watch Legion? Really quickly, if you want to watch it legally, I guess, Hulu has the entire series up there. I think you can get a Hulu account with a month free trial. So if you just want to try it out and watch Legion, you can do that. But you'll probably get hooked because Hulu has a lot of shit on there that's really good.
Is Hulu worth it? Because I've got Crunchyroll, I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon Prime. Is it worth it?
I use Hulu more than I use any of my other streaming services.
Really?
Not only do they have a lot of good shows and movies already on there, but they have shows that are updating live. So like shows like my wife and I, for instance, and y'all might judge me both live, or you guys and people on the chat, for some of the shows I'm going to mention. Some of them you won't judge me for, so I don't care. We watch Bob's Burgers every week. I watch The Simpsons every week. We watch The New Girl, Modern Family, The Goldbergs, a few other sitcoms, and then they also have some drama shows on there like Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. Some other shows that'll update every week as the new episodes come off.
Hey, New Girl is damn good television. Me and my girlfriend marathon through that whole thing.
I feel like they're approaching the last season.
Are they? Oh, that's a shame.
I haven't heard any exact like mention of that fact, but I think that the episode from this week was a season finale, and it was very much bringing everything to a point where it seems like they probably won't be able to continue much longer.
Oh, that sucks.
Girl. Modern Family is the best show on television, I think. So I don't judge you for any of those. I love Modern Family.
I think some people might judge for like the Goldbergs, but I
heard that was supposed to be funny.
I really like that show.
Is that good? That's with Patton Oswalt, right?
He narrates it. He's supposed to be like the adult version of the kid, kind of like how what's his name, Bob Saget narrated How I Met Your Mom.
Oh.
Okay, but like a bunch of those shows that you listed off, we watch here. Like Bob's Burgers, we watch religiously at this house. Like,
oh yeah, I don't think anyone judges anyone for Bob's Burgers because that show is fucking dope.
We've watched the Tina Friend Fiction one like 8 times in this house. We die laughing every single time.
It's so good.
Oh, it's hilarious. We love Bob's Burgers.
Oh, they have a lot of Adult Swim shit on there too, like a lot.
See, I can't get into Adult Swim.
I would recommend, and I didn't dig it that much at first, but by the time I finished the series, I was like, holy fuck, this is one of the best animated titles I've ever seen. Was Moral Oral.
Moral Oral?
Yeah.
Moral Oral?
Never heard of it.
It's on Netflix. It's 3 seasons long. It's like 30 episodes that are like 10 minutes each, and it's about a kid who's in a really like religious town, but it's really fucked up, and you start seeing like in every episode the way that these characters are really fucked up, and like the only person who's really like blindly religious is Oral, because the whole town is taking advantage of his naivety and making him believe that like certain things that they do are okay while other things are meant to be a sin and that kind of stuff. But it's like it starts out just ridiculous, and as you go forward and you learn more about what's going on in the background, it becomes really deep. And the last season is just one of the darkest, most depressing things, but so well done that I was like, holy shit, I loved, like, I spent the next week after I watched it just thinking to myself, I don't know what to watch after this because that was way too good.
Wow.
That was me with Game of Thrones after I watched The Red Wedding. Oh, shit. Everybody keeps saying Rick and Morty. I just never have watched it. I've heard it's pretty good, though.
It's Rick and Morty is really good, but my favorite, even though I said all that good stuff about Moral Oral, my absolute favorite of the Adult Swim shows is Venture Brothers.
I saw the first episode.
It's really good, especially for people in our wheelhouse, just all around geeks about comics, cartoons, movies, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It has so many references. It's like a adult comedy version of Planetary in the way that it uses references.
Wow.
To kind of build a universe and tell a story.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I've heard it also builds up to actually some genuinely heartwarming moments.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of really great stuff, and they just uploaded the last season, or the most recent season, I should say. So I just binged that like a few days ago.
Well, we started. There's this new Netflix show. God, I can't remember the name of it. It's involving where this girl, she commits suicide, but she leaves like this tape, and this kid. What's the fucking name? Hold on, I have my shit turned on. It's actually really good. We started it today. It's brand new on Netflix, and we've been hooked on it. And we were gonna binge it. 13 Reasons Why. It's really, really good. It's basically this young girl, she takes her life at the beginning of the school year, and she leaves 13 tapes for this kid to listen to. And throughout the tapes, she's saying like all these people that were involved in her making her decision and how they were implicated and things like that. And she basically sets it up where if you don't listen to all 13 of these tapes, somebody is watching you right now, and they will release all this information to the public.
How many episodes is it?
It's Netflix, so I'm guessing 13 episodes. We just started the first episode today, and we went through the first episode, and we're like, holy shit, this is really good. Like
Wow.
it doesn't have any supernatural things or anything like that. It's more of a kind of like a murder mystery / suicide show where like it's really good though. It really is. It kind of reminds me in the same vein as like Stranger Things, where we watched the first episode, me and my girl, and we were like, wow, we got to keep watching it.
Might have to check it out because I don't think we're watching anything right now. The first season of Preacher is on Hulu, so I'm watching that right now, and I'm digging it simply because it's nothing like the comic, and I'm happy because I don't need to read the comic or watch the comic because I've already read it. So there's that. We had a couple of other questions though before the going on to a TV show tangent. One, someone was asking us how Karnak by Warren Ellis is. I don't know if either of y'all had read that one yet.
2 thumbs up. I just read it last week.
I haven't read it.
I read it as it was coming out. I really dug it. It was kind of impaired by the fact that it was such a slow shipping book, but overall, it's a really solid story. I really want to read it again in one go. If you enjoy any of Ellis's other short stories, like Extremis or Moon Knight, especially Moon Knight, or like his run on Secret Avengers, you'll probably wind up enjoying Karnak. And it's so cheap because it's only one trade paperback that it's definitely worth it to check it out just to see if you'd like it.
Yeah, I read it when I went through my Inhumans binge last week, and I really dug it. I just thought the story was fantastic.
It really develops the character of Karnak in really nice ways.
Yeah.
Karnak, ever since I first read the Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee Inhuman series, I was always really interested in him, but you don't see too much good focus on him in the other Inhumans books. So this is the first time that they really give a really nice focus to Karnak, and I was really, really pumped to see that, and it worked out really, really well.
Yep, fully agree. Well worth picking up, as well as Inhuman and Uncanny Inhumans, in my opinion.
I need to read Karnak.
I think the last sorry. The last thing we can answer probably before going into other stuff, just because it's already so late because we started late. Someone was asking about Old Man Logan by Jeff Lemire. I don't know if you guys have read that yet.
I have not.
Have not.
I'm gonna recommend it wholeheartedly. It's better than Mark Miller's Old Man Logan by far. It's very personal, very dark. The artwork is incredible. Most of it is by Sorrentino, Andrea Sorrentino. So if you've seen his art before, from like iVampire or Green Arrow, you know what to expect. He does really good stylized work. The violence is very well done in there. It's beautiful. It's simply beautiful. So I highly recommend it. It kind of is cool because it separates itself from the rest of the Marvel Universe, but still kind of lets you know, hey, Logan is the Old Man Logan is still stuck in this universe, so he is going to react to some of the stuff that's here, but he's also still dealing with things from his universe. So it's a good mix.
Do you need to read the Bendis or the Millar stuff before you read this?
You should read the Bendis miniseries.
Okay.
I would recommend reading both of them prior, just to give you the complete knowledge about what happens to the character before this series, because a lot of it does come back. Like, this series does make reference to the other ones. Bendis's is just really quick, just reintroducing us to the character, has the same artwork from Andrea Sorrentino, and then it goes straight into the ongoing series.
Good stuff.
I want to take a second to plug Frank Gogel's Grief digital comic, digital anthology. He sent me he's got it on Kickstarter right now. He sent me an advance copy, and he wrote several stories with different artists illustrating them. They're all short stories. They're not interconnected. Some of them are about heroes. Some of them are about regular people. It is really, really good. Frank can really write. I don't know how old he is. I think he's pretty young, but these stories are really good. So I would urge everyone to go to Kickstarter for $1 and support him. It's Grief. It's by Frank Gogol, and it's only $1, and that automatically gets you into a drawing for an IST gift card. I have nothing to gain by this other than I want Frank to be successful because I loved his comic.
Cool beans. I guess since we're doing plugs real quick, I want to take a moment to actually plug a digital comic that somebody reached out to me and asked me if I could take a look at. It's called PS238. You can find it on Amazon or eBay. It's free on the creator's website. It's actually really good. It's kind of got like an X-Men twist to it. The art, admittingly, not the greatest thing in the world, but it's pretty good. You guys should check it out. The story is really solid. I'll be doing a spotlight on that in a few weeks.
And I want to take this time to plug the tie that I tied this morning. Check this shit out. Look how fat that Windsor is. Look at that shit. But let me show you what happens when you tie a knot that tight. And this is why I wear sweaters.
So you go for a full Windsor or half Windsor?
That was a full Windsor, and it was a fat one too. Like, I made it purposely huge. Because I have the wide neck collar right there, you see? So I wanted to fill up that entire gap.
Yeah.
So I went really wide.
Yeah, I'm a skinny tie kind of person, so it's always really thin when I do it.
Well,
I'm a no tie kind of guy.
I realized I've been tying my ties wrong all these years. And I've wondered why my ties look so shitty compared to everyone else at work. And I realized it's because I've been doing it wrong. So I taught myself how to do the Windsor, and I taught myself a little bit more about, how to tie the knot and make it look how I want. And so I'm getting better. And it's funny because one of the guys at my office is like, I showed him, I was like, dude, check this knot out. And he's like, you are like way too overly excited about that.
You know what? Okay, I could see just being a bow tie kind of guy.
I only wear bow ties when I wear tuxedos, and I haven't worn a tux in a while.
I could see that, or a bolo tie.
I want a
bolo tie. That sounds like Riley in Texas.
I want to get one. I want to see what happens if I try to wear one. Like, are they going to get mad at me at work?
I think you can rock a bolo tie, man. Not everybody can pull it off.
No, I should strike you as a no tie at all kind of guy. I can't stand ties. Don't like long pants. Don't like coats and ties.
Oh, I'm a tie guy. I love them.
Mm.
I'm weird like that, though.
I am.
No, you're normal. I'm the weird one.
For a legitimate plug, though, Matthew Sibley, who's one of our admins on the group and one of my buddies, he does a thing called a show with another guy called Legion Quest. So they talked about every episode of Legion. So if you guys want some in-depth looks at that from him, and he usually has really great opinions and really great insights on.
Is that a podcast?
I believe it is. I believe it's a podcast that he's doing. But that would be a good place to look. I look to Matt for good comment and good opinions on a lot of things.
Yeah, he's really. It's amazing how young he is and how smart and how sharp his critical thinking is on his comics.
Yeah,
He's really young enough to be my grandson practically, and he has such good opinions. So his thoughts are so well thought out that it's really impressive.
I think like some people might come to it and say part of that might be the history from his being a student of film and that he writing and stuff, but it's very clear it's not just that, because there are people who just regurgitate what they learn in school, and there are people whose obvious just passion for something bleeds out of them consistently, and that's true of Matt.
100%.
Well said. Yeah, I've talked to Matthew Sibley a few times on Facebook. He's a very intelligent guy. Very well spoken. One last plug for me, just because I got to get these in. Kevin Cherry and Sean McDaniel, thank you for your Patreon pledges. They're always appreciated and all that good stuff. So thanks, guys.
Thanks for the check for $15,000 this week, Luis. That really helps.
Don't say nothing. No, I wish I could pay you, man.
I'm totally teasing you. I would never accept a penny from you.
I just actually had to file my first payment to the IRS, so yay, taxes.
Oh man, we filed taxes and it was like a horror movie.
Oh, dude, I have to do it right. I have to do it every 3 months now because of Patreon.
Really?
Yeah, because I make over $600 a year in Patreon, so I have to file as a small business owner now.
Oh wow, small business owner.
Yeah, Tyler's actually talking me through it.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So, but the good news is, I may qualify for a San Diego Comic-Con press pass because of it. Because you have to have tax information in order to qualify.
Cool.
Oh,
yeah.
I can give them other tax information.
So we'll see how that goes this year. Why do you have a hammer?
Why don't you?
That's a very good question. I feel very unmanly now.
Yeah, Luis, why don't you?
Perhaps we talk comics.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should actually talk about what we were reading or Legion or something along those lines.
I did read a couple books this week.
Go ahead.
Well, I read a couple of physical books, and I read a lot of stuff digitally. I'm catching up with about a month worth of back issues, which is exciting, but at the same time daunting because back issues never stop. New issues keep coming out, and then the next week they become back issues. And yeah. So anyway, I'm catching up with a lot of that stuff. I read some cool things, but as far as physical books, I read another volume of Berserk, still going strong. And I read the newest volume of One Punch Man, which was good stuff and made me realize that season 2 might not have as exciting of a conclusive battle as season 1 did. And as well, we're pretty much like right behind the Japanese releases of the manga, because the new volume was 11. Volume 12 is the last volume that's available in Japan. Volume 12 doesn't ship until September in the US, and then there's only a few chapters after that that have been published in Japan that are not collected. So we're more or less caught up.
Wow, so it's right on the heels of it.
Yeah, it's going to get to the point where we're just waiting on Japan to release something before we have one in America, which means that I'm probably going to wind up going on to Scanlation websites and just reading online, and then,
my dog just woke up because of that.
I think my fire alarm went off for a second.
Yeah, my dog just freaked out and woke up because of that.
Was that me or was that you?
That wasn't me.
Oh, it's probably me. Okay,
No,
well, anyway, that's what I read this week.
I've been reading just Essex County because I have to review it for the Patreon pick. I've been enjoying it. Really good slice of life story. Still haven't been able to make my way through it. Been going through a crazy week, actually. My mom was in the hospital this week, so that kind of put a damper on the whole situation. So,
Oh, no.
yeah. But other than that, that's pretty much all I've got this week. I haven't bought anything that I can show you. Legion and War of Kings comes to me on Saturdays, so I should have a video for one of the two on Saturday and another one on Sunday.
Well, I suck because I didn't buy anything and I didn't read anything. So I suck.
Yes. And you still haven't done your homework.
No, I haven't done my homework, and I'm a loser.
Nah, man.
A pink loser. A pink-faced loser.
At least you're not afraid of clowns like me.
I'm afraid of that It trailer. I'll tell you.
God. Ugh. Ugh. Oh my God! For those of you that did, the news show has gone up for patrons, and we watched the It trailer on it. We did I didn't see it before that, and oh man, oh God, it was like Hellraiser. I have such things to show you.
I don't even think the clown was the scariest part of it. The other stuff that was going on in the trailer was scarier.
Yeah, it's really effective. I don't even know if I'm gonna watch the movie.
Oh, I can't wait. I just want the wits scared out of me.
Ugh, I'll pass. I will. Hey, I've told this before. I've seen The Exorcist. I saw The Exorcist when I was like 5 years old. Really didn't bat an eye. Saw like a whole bunch of horror films. I don't know what it is about it, the fucking clown, but it always gets under my skin and freaks me out.
Yeah, there was that in the trailer when that carousel slide machine starts doing itself. That freaked me out when it just got possessed and started doing slides by itself, and they lost control of it. That kid sees the red balloon in the classroom drifting by. That's the kind of stuff that scares me.
Yeah. No, it definitely looks like they've got a lot going for it. It looks really good.
Yeah.
How's the progress on Zelda going, Luis? Did you go ahead and beat it yet?
On what?
On Zelda?
No. I'm one of the 4 beasts down in Zelda. I'm about to tackle the second one, which is the one in the desert. But that has also apparently taken a backseat now because Persona 5 came out. And holy shit, Persona 5 is so fucking good. Oh, it's so good. Persona 5 is so good. If you have
too many games.
I do. I have too many games, not enough time for anything except to knock out work and stuff like that.
What's Persona 5 about?
It's so weird and so hard to explain. It's basically like an anime. You're playing an anime. Have you ever played a Persona game, Riley?
I know of them, though.
It's so good, though.
Well, I'm hoping that by the next show we do, I'll be able to report that I finished Zelda, because I'm literally, I stepped right outside of where Ganon is.
Did you really? You did all the beasts and everything?
I did everything. I went through the castle, and then I stopped, and I turned around, and I went and started doing side quests.
You get the Master Sword yet?
Do what?
You have the Master Sword?
Yeah, I have Master Sword. I beat all the beasts. I've maxed out my stamina meter. I'm over halfway done with my heart containers. I'm just going through and doing a bunch of crap, a bunch of the shrines. I got most of the gear, like the suits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten I got Epona, like literally Epona.
Did you get all the memories?
I have not done that yet. Oh, and I bought a house.
Yeah, you can buy a house in the game.
You can buy a house?
Yeah.
That's some straight up like Harvest Moon shit.
Yeah, that is.
It's massive, and I plan on coming back to it eventually. But Persona is whatever little free time I get from not being at work, since this is like the busiest time of the year with testing, and not filming YouTube videos or spending time with family and friends. I've been playing Persona. Ugh. Dun, dun, dun. So anything else before we go ahead and dive into Legion?
I don't have anything.
I don't got anything either.
I mean, I bought some stuff last week. Just a quick rundown. The new Zelda Master Edition or Legendary Edition, Twilight Princess Volume 1, Hunter x Hunter 33, One Punch Man 11, the Epic Collections for Excalibur and New Mutants, the second Old Republic Epic Collection from Star Wars, maybe something else, but that's... Avengers Initiative Complete Collection Volume 1, I think. Yeah, and I think that's it.
Yeah, haven't picked up anything. Just like I said, Legion and War of Kings, same as everybody else. And the spine does bother me. I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I know it's
First world problem guy.
Yeah, it shouldn't, and it's petty, but the spine does kind of bother me a little bit.
You need to get one of those like custom dust jacket guys to send you a PDF.
I actually kind of want to get it done for the War of Kings omnibus, simply because I do not like that dust jacket at all.
Is that the Thanos one?
The War of Kings is the one that's the wraparound.
Yeah, I hate it. I just don't.
Okay.
And the thing is, it's slammed right in the middle of the two other King omnibuses, and I'm like,
oh. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it.
Anyway, now I guess Legion time.
Legion time.
So we can talk real quick about the character in the comics.
All right. I have no history about Legion.
Me either.
I will step out of this. This is all you, Riley.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Eat my Texas-shaped cookie while you're talking.
And I will get more wine.
I'm going to pull up Wikipedia just because I want to see how, quote, professionals, I don't know, people like who actually write shit would talk about him, while I also tell you my thoughts about Legion. But anyway, so Legion is a character in the X-Men. He was created by Chris Claremont with artist Bill Sienkiewicz during their legendary run on the New Mutants. His first appearance was in number 25. I just had to reference that because I forgot which issue it was. And he is the son of Professor Charles Xavier from an illegitimate relationship that he had with a woman named Gabrielle Haller. So David is a mutant with the his ability is that he has an extreme case of multiple personality disorder, in which inside of his head, and at points you get to actually go inside his head and see how it is in there, he has a seemingly unlimited number of multiple personalities. And each of these personalities is also a mutant who has their own powers. And
different mutant powers?
Every mutant inside his head has a different power.
Wow.
So each persona controls a power, and then he can in turn use that persona's powers.
Is that origin story in that big oversized New Mutants, Chris Claremont, Bill Sienkiewicz book?
Sure as heck is. So if you were fortunate enough to have been able to grab the artist edition Bill Sienkiewicz New Mutants book, you will have Legion's origin in there. If not, you'll find Legion's origin. It's either volume 3 or 4 of the classic edition paperbacks. I believe they also released like a really old, small prestige format issue that collected that stuff in there as well, back pretty soon after the issues originally came out with that story. Originally also, he was said by the characters, he was, I think that they described him as being an autistic character, but I don't think that that's true anymore, because it was during a time when they didn't have full understanding of autism, and so they were using it almost in a derogatory way in these stories. And if you were to read those, you kind of see that, and you're like, that's not right. Like it was a little bit uncomfortable, if I recall correctly. But I knew at this time it's different than if they were to do it now. Now you would not have anyone say that kind of stuff at all. But commonly, and this is from the show as well, they'll just say that he's schizophrenic, and he's not. It's just the way it comes off as being. It's just his mutant ability. But back to that, his mutant ability, like I said, what he can do makes him qualify as being one of the most powerful mutants in existence. And the fact that he does not have complete control over his abilities means that he's also one of the most dangerous mutant characters in existence. So that original story, the first story, you get to be introduced to kind of some of his abilities, introduced to the character, kind of how mentally unstable he is, how dangerous he can be, but also kind of how innocent and naive he is, and that he really doesn't intend on being as dangerous as he can be. And then there's three other big Legion storylines that I'm familiar with that I wanted to touch on real quick. I know that there's more places that he appeared, but there's several more storylines where he appeared, but these are the ones that I'm mostly familiar with. Legion Quest, which is the lead into the Age of Apocalypse, because Legion was the reason that Age of Apocalypse happened. It was a crossover for a few issues between Uncanny X-Men and X-Men right before the whole 4 months of Age of Apocalypse. And then years later, a lot of other stuff happened. The next major storyline that I'm familiar with is the first story arc of the third New Mutants series, which is collected in a paperback called The Return of Legion, where the original New Mutants have gotten back together in this title, and they have to go deal with Legion again. He was also part of the Age of X crossover, and there was another storyline in X-Men Legacy by Mike Carey called Lost Legions. He was part of that. But the next major storyline that he was in is X-Men Legacy by Cy Spurrier, and that's the one that just had an omnibus release. And this series kind of goes into a new direction with the character. David no longer wants to be known as Legion. He's trying to kind of go away from that persona that he's created and that the way that people see him. He's a lot more in control of himself and of his abilities. So it's a really interesting series, but it is one that people have mentioned, as I said earlier, you either hate it or you love it. I'm in the love party, but I know a lot of people that don't like it. That's fine, whatever. As long as you're not trying to tell other people that they're wrong for loving it, you can go ahead and have your opinion.
I hate those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're wrong. You shouldn't like that. Fuck you.
But that's my rundown of the character, some of the major storylines. So if you do want to read some good Legion comics, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Legion, the TV show, is so it's an FX TV show led by Noah Hawley, whose name you might recognize from Fargo, the other FX series. He was the writer and director of much of that. I guess the showrunner, I think, is what he's literally is on there. So he's adapted this character for the screen in this show, which is meant to take place in the X-Men film universe. But fear not, for those of you who don't care or don't like or don't know the X-Men film universe, it's completely disconnected, at least at this point. And you don't really need to know anything about Legion as a character to enjoy the show.
Yes. And I should note, we still are spoiler free right now. We're not getting into spoilers just yet. I think the best way we can handle this right now is we just go around. What do we think our initial thoughts are of it? How do we feel about the season overall without spoiling anything? And then we dive into it. Riley, go ahead.
So pretty much from the onset, I was really into it. I really liked the fact that it didn't have too much of a connection to the comics, because I don't think it would have worked very well on screen. for them to just kind of go straight into that kind of stuff. And it wouldn't have gotten as big of an audience because it's something that's kind of really strange compared to other characters that have been adapted on screen. I think that the Noah Hawley choosing him to run this show was really wise because he's been known to do some strange things and experiment, I guess, with the way that he writes and directs TV shows and produces TV shows. So there's some really experimental things in there. And just like how I really love when comics do things that I don't think translate to any other medium, this show does some stuff that I don't think would translate to any other medium but TV or maybe even film with some of the sequences throughout the show. So it's very beautifully directed with some really great sequences that really experimenting very well with the show and gives it that kind of mental instability feel throughout. It has you guessing consistently, like throughout every episode, what's going to happen, what's actually happening, but at the same time gives you enough to hold on to so that you can be guided through and not feel, you shouldn't feel completely lost. And it has a whole host of just wonderful characters with great actors, and one of my favorite actors in there, Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords fame. He's fantastic in there. I love him. And it has a really interesting villain with some good twists throughout the season.
Okay. Jess, I know me and you, we've talked before on the news show about Legion. Mainly, we've actually talked about the whole season. We touched on it, and we touched on the last episode last week. But for a rundown for people that aren't Patreon subscribers, what do you think?
Well, I was especially amazed at the end of episode 5. That's what I wanted your opinion on. There's only 7 episodes, and I really, because the ending of episode 5 just threw me for a loop. I was like, what the heck is real in this show, and what the heck is the truth? I couldn't even figure out if Summerland was real, and it took me till episode 7 to actually figure out what was real and what wasn't real. I've never seen a show mess with you as much as this show messes with you, and not just in an Inception type of way by going deeper into the memory and deeper into the memory, but the way it I believe it's the first episode where they have that dance sequence that he's dreaming, and Sid is trying to wake him up. That I've been trying to figure out, because Matthew Sibley mentioned it, and I've been trying to figure out in the context what that dance sequence meant. It was a Bollywood type dance production, and in Bollywood in India, they don't have sex, they don't even kiss, they dance. So when you dance, that's an allegory for having sex. So I was trying to think, is David dreaming that? Is that like his wet dream sort of allegory? Because she's trying to wake him up, and I just couldn't figure out. I'd be interested in knowing what anybody else thinks of that dance sequence, because it has to be important, because it was in there, and in such a big production that it has to stand for something, and I can't quite figure out what it does. But that's the kind of show it is, because it's got, when episode 6, if we're not getting too spoilery, when episode 6 happens and they're in that place, and there's a certain door that's there sometimes, and then in episode, I can't remember when, this doesn't give anything away. Is it episode 6 or 7 when his rational mind speaks to him in the British voice?
I think that's 7.
Is that 7?
That's the last episode, yeah.
Yeah. for his rational mind to be British and speaking to him, and they work out what they can work out without giving anything away. And you're still trying to figure out if that's real or not real. But it comes up with answers to the show, and it's so multi-layered. And we've talked about this before. It's just got so many layers and so many different odd things happening in such, as Riley was saying, experimental ways that you just can't look away for 5 seconds, or you're not going to know what's going on, because it changes venues like rapidly. And I commend FX for giving Noah Hawley the chance to do a show like this, because I've never seen a show like this before. I mean, I remember seeing Inception, the movie, and thinking, wow, this was a really cool movie that I don't know what's real and what's not real. But for this thing to be on TV and to be ping-ponging back and forth, and the astral plane, and what's his name in the safari jacket? I love that guy.
He's
And
my
then
favorite. He's my favorite.
yeah. And then the villain, both you guys knew who the villain was going to be. I didn't, because I just don't have that much of a deep knowledge of Marvel for that particular character. But it's just amazing on so many different levels, the way they worked it out. And I just can't say enough about that show. Or
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it from the first episode. I was definitely hooked. Admittingly, the first episode, not the easiest thing to get into. It hooks you, but there are a few moments where you're wondering, is it what's real, what's not, things like that. I think it's probably the closest thing that I've seen to having a Grant Morrison comic put onto the screen.
Yeah,
that's a pretty accurate description. I think it's probably the best TV show that I've seen so far this year. It's probably my favorite TV show so far this year. Digging the hell out of it, really. It's really good stuff. The characters are all really great. They're fleshed out. I had a feeling who the main villain was. I thought, well, it could be either this guy or this guy, one of two people from the very beginning. And actually, me and Riley, we felt the same way without even talking about it. And I mentioned it to him, and I was like, yeah, I thought it was this guy. And he's like, yeah, I thought it was this guy too. So really, really great stuff. And talk about using some characters that a lot of fans out there, you know, the more common fans that really aren't diehard X-Men fans, or they really don't know much about the mythology, or they just know the basics and stuff like that. They really use characters that you haven't heard of. Like, they're not characters that have appeared on the movies, or they're not really characters even that have appeared on TV shows. Yeah, Legion showed up like in 1 or 2 episodes, I think Giovanni mentioned, on X-Men Evolution back in the day. But for the most part, these are kind of obscure characters, and this show, in my circle at least, has become a bit of a hit. I mean, it's got approved already for a second season, so thank God, because the way they left season 1 off, I would hate if they just left it off like that and we didn't get a second season. But overall, man, it's so damn good. It really is. And my favorite character is actually the guy that he wears the safari suit, I think is what you coined it.
Yeah, the safari jacket.
Yeah. I love that guy. That guy is so awesome. He's really, really cool. But yeah, there really isn't much that I can say without getting into spoilers, because there's so much that goes on in this show, and there are so many kind of like little twists and turns and things like that happen. I'll say that once again they do, and we talked about this again last night, Jess, on the new show, but they do that thing with villains that I absolutely love, where they make a villain kind of sympathetic, where you understand where he's coming from, and you get him. You get the villain, because the villain was an asshole, but at the same time they show the ramifications of what happened to him. And he's not really technically a villain per se, but you get the character.
Oh, this is the The
interrogation guy.
The interrogation guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I get him.
Yeah.
You're right.
They kind of make him sympathetic in the last episode where I was like, oh, wow, I did not see them doing this.
Well, one thing the show does is, since it does go between reality and you go reality, non-reality, or whatever you want to call it, and then the astral plane and stuff, it really gives the actors a chance to really, really show their skills, because there's the way they act in reality, and there's the way they act when they are in that sort of illusion that they act in. They act completely differently, and so it's really interesting to watch them act. They really sort of exercise their acting muscles in the last 3 episodes, when they're at the very end, episode 5. So mainly episode 6 and 7, they really they almost act 2 versions of themselves, which I think is really excellent acting jobs by them all.
Yeah. And talk about Noah. Talk about picking the perfect showrunner for this. Noah Hawley, who I believe that's how Riley says his name, but I've seen the first season of Fargo. Oh, it's really good. And they just knocked it out of the park with the casting, with every single person, every single actor or actress in this. It just brought their A game onto this. I don't think there's a bad member in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And Audrey Plaza, wow. I did not know she had that in her.
Yeah.
Like, she's genuinely pretty creepy in some of it. Reminds me of an ex-girlfriend I had once. She is genuinely really creepy.
So should we go ahead and spoil this bitch?
Yeah, let's spoil this bitch.
All right, so at this point, I guess we should officially announce, if you have not seen the entire first season, all 8 episodes of Legion, and you don't want it spoiled, this would be the time to tune on out, because we're about to spoil this bitch.
So give everybody about 10 seconds to kind of exit out of their browser and, let them leave. Da, 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 da. Anybody know the Price is Right theme song? No?
Yeah, you had it right.
Did I get it right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I should know it. My grandma we used to make me watch Price is Right in Puerto Rico all the time. God, I hated her.
That is the show to watch when you have a day home from school.
Yeah.
When you're sick,
It
absolutely.
was that and Jerry Springer reruns. Although the show was never the same after they bolted down the chairs.
This is Jerry Springer, not Price is Right.
No. This is Jerry Springer, not Price is Right.
Right. Okay, who wants to go ahead and spoil it?
All right. Do you guys want to start at the ending? Because I'm dying to talk about the post-credit scene, especially with you, Riley.
So Louise was mentioning that the villain, we both had the same ideas as to who it would be. We both initially guessed that it might be either Mojo or the Shadow King. I know that my initial thought was Mojo, because when you just see the head, it's like fat face, disgusting, associate the color yellow in there, and I thought Mojo. And I thought to myself, Mojo doesn't really make sense for the direction of the show, but Shadow King is also fat and disgusting looking slob guy with yellow eyes. So that was my second choice, and it wound up being Shadow King, and they referred to him by name of the original Shadow King host, Farouk, from the comics.
Yes.
So that would now, I think they revealed the name in episode 7.
Yeah. It was late into the season before they revealed it was Farouk.
Yeah, and it was really, really nicely done the way that they revealed it. And then they also, in that same episode, they gave kind of reference to David's dad, and there's this whole sequence that's an animated thing.
Yeah.
On the chalkboard. That was brilliant.
It was
Yeah,
really well done. Like, David is talking to himself inside his own head, and this was what Jess was talking about, the British voice of reason within his own head, who's basically just breaking everything down for you and explaining everything and why things happen and what's going on. And he's like, yeah, this is something's in your head. It's been there since you were a baby. It's a parasite. It got in there because your father is a powerful mutant with mental abilities who was fighting another powerful mutant with mental psychic abilities named the Shadow King. And after he defeated him, the Shadow King got inside of you, and now he's infecting you and taking you over, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And all the while, it's being illustrated on a chalkboard, and you see this guy who's supposed to be David's dad very clearly is supposed to be referencing to Professor X. He's bald, and he does mind thingies.
Yeah.
But David doesn't know his dad.
Right.
So this is just kind of how he perceives who his father might look like. That would be like the next big spoiler, is the fact that they reference Professor X in there. The final big spoiler, I guess another big spoiler would be after you find out that Shadow King, the character that Audrey Plaza plays, winds up basically becoming the antagonist.
Yeah.
She personifies one of the versions of what the Shadow King looks like, and she just becomes disgusting looking by the end of the show. And then after the credit sequence, the final spoiler, the final big spoiler, is that David gets taken away by a strange little floating orb that digitizes him, is what it seems to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls him inside of itself, and then as it flies away, you see on a little screen David screaming and banging his hands against the inside of the glass screen. So that's where we're left off post credits. And
did you get that link that I sent you that explains that?
I did see the link that you sent, and all I really got on there was that he gave it a name.
I haven't seen that link yet, but
it's in an interview. Well, let me see if I can get it exactly right.
But I came to the same conclusion I think you did, where that post-credit scene, we thought it was Mojo.
I think we're still both really hung up on the idea that Mojo might have a part in this.
Yeah.
No, it is just a sec.
Because I think that part of that thinking about Mojo is because I was initially thinking about him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, every time I see it, I think it still doesn't really make sense narratively to throw that character in there. And Mojo never had any connection with David in the comics, as far as I'm completely aware of.
This is in a conference call with reporters after the finale. Holly revealed that the orb was somehow connected to the so-called peacemaker that Division 3 had on hand. Therefore, the alliance between that group, as promised by the interrogator, and the Summerland mutants could already be in trouble just as soon as it began. So it's from Division 3. That little orb, according to Noah Hawley.
So basically what they're alluding to is the fact that that alliance is not really going to happen.
Yeah.
No, I guess not.
But we were still thinking Mojo, because Mojo in the comics is a villain who's known as being this other dimensional being who basically kidnaps people from their own universes and makes them become actors in his staged television productions for entertainment for other multi-dimensional beings. He's known for having association with a lot of people like Longshot, I believe, Shatterstar, Spiral, characters like that. And he also created the X-Babies, where he'd kidnap the mutants and turn them into babies.
Which, when you think about it, when you put it like that, It could work if they want to get really crazy next season and go breaking the third wall and stuff like that, where you got a character where David, he interacts with them and he's like, no, you're on a TV show and all this other stuff. And if they want to go that nuts with it, it could work. I mean, we already are playing with different dimensions in a way.
Yeah, because I mean, like mentioned several times, we have the astral plane,
Right,
which is where we meet Safari Coat guy, which is Jermaine Clement is the guy that plays him. That's Oliver Bird, who is also one of my favorite characters in the show. Who, another spoiler, is set to be, he's the new host of Shadow King.
Oh, that killed me at the end. When he's driving away, I was like, oh, you bastards. You made my favorite character the villain for next season.
But
now, is Aubrey Plaza, what is she in the car when they drive away? Is she?
She's a parasite.
What's he?
He's the host.
I mean, isn't he infecting? He's in Safari Coat's brain, but what's Aubrey? Right. Is she just like a personification of him?
It's a mental personification that he can see.
Right. Okay. So he has like a friend. So he creates her as a friend then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, similar to what she did to David. Basically, she's doing to him now.
Oh, okay.
Not to call him Safari Coat guy anymore. What was his name again? Oliver? I keep forgetting his name.
Oliver, yeah.
Oliver.
But I like Safari Coat guy better.
I do like Safari Coat guy.
he's always got a martini. Character. He's got a martini and he's got samba music playing or something, and
he is a mutant whose ability is to create like words out of thin air.
Yeah, that was a cool sequence when he creates the numerals.
Make those words into something.
He's trying to stop the bullets by creating all these words in the air.
Oh, that was so good.
See, that's where that show got so trippy. Is that moment was frozen in time, and they approached it like from the astral plane, and then from like reality, and they eventually meshed, and David figured out and grabbed the bullets. But I loved how that scene was frozen in time, and they tackled it from like 3 different dimensions practically. And you were just trying to figure out how he was going to actually break through after he went through door after door after door after door, and then finally found the reality. Yeah. That was pretty impressive.
My question is, how long were they frozen there? Because didn't they come back to the building where they stayed at, and like the building was kind of like a bit disheveled and things like that, and the guy that was burned, he had gone through rehabilitation, he had gone through a whole series of events, and now he's back after that point. So my question is, were they frozen in time for months, for a long time?
That's a good question.
I'm pretty sure that moment was just like less than a second, because it's not really time that's frozen, it's their perception.
Okay.
But the rest of the season had taken place over a more extended period of time, which gave the interrogator time to recover.
Yeah. And he was the one that I was talking about when we were talking about spoilers, where I was like, you find out this guy has a family. This guy, he was trying to kind of, in a way, live a normal life and things like that. And it kind of makes you feel for him. In the last episode, I kind of felt for him a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's the Division 3 or whatever, the organization, to me, it doesn't come off necessarily like some sinister organization. It's just that they're not exactly doing the things that we're rooting for in the show. So it sucks because he's just a guy doing his job, like what he thinks to be, good stuff, and protecting people in the way that he wants to. And they view David as a serious threat because he probably is. And at that point, especially throughout the series, having been possessed with the Shadow King inside of him, he is a threat. And then he all of a sudden just gets destroyed. and it's causing issues with his relationship with his husband and stuff, who like is trying to tell him, you know, like, oh, you're still handsome, blah blah blah, and he looks at himself in the mirror and he's like, you know, I'm fucking burned up and half my face. I look like goddamn Two-Face.
Yeah, that was a very interesting turn that I personally did not see coming. Where I was like, oh wow, he's got a family, he's got a husband, he's got kids, and they usually don't show that type of stuff on a normal television show in regards to like a villain like that. Well, he's not even really a villain. You know, he's a guy that for the most part was just trying to do his job, and in a way, let's face it, David's a bomb. He's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see why they're afraid of him. Even when he keeps telling them not to be afraid.
Yeah.
You can see why they are.
How did you catch on to the Shadow King being the dog? Because I didn't even realize that, and I felt like an idiot after.
Well, I knew that the dog was one of the like false, like fake personalities, one of the things that he was seeing, but whenever they revealed, you know, Shadow King was all these personalities, I was like, shit, does that mean he was the dog too? Damn.
I didn't know that, and I should have, because the dog is named King, and I don't know why I didn't catch it. God. Dun, 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 dun. Now I got Price is Right stuck in my head.
But you know, overall, I was so hooked on that. Like every time a new episode came out, I was like so excited. But I watched it later because Hulu didn't get it until Sunday. So every week I would anticipate really highly. And I can't freaking wait for season 2, because season 1 left us with such big cliffhangers.
Yeah.
It's such good cliffhangers.
Yeah.
They said late 2018 for the next season.
That sucks.
So we're talking over a year is what the wait time is.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
I might not even be around anymore at that time. Like I might die of old age.
You might die of too big of a Windsor knot around your neck.
By the time season 2 comes out, I'm gonna have learned how to make a knot that's like covering my whole face.
Somebody write this down so we can remember it. Oh man. But overall, like I said, I love the hell out of the season. How did you feel about some of the side characters? I love the female character. I can't remember her name. Claire is the name of the young girl.
Carrie?
Huh?
Carrie, the one that shares the body with the other Carrie.
Oh, that was awesome. That
Yeah.
was really cool. I love that. That whole reveal about how she doesn't age, but he does. She only ages when she's out of the body. Oh man, I love that character. That was great. And when Farouk possesses her and you see it slowly happening, I was like, no, no, not her. Oh.
Yeah, like I think that aside from Oliver, my favorite of all the other characters would have to be Carrie and Carrie, because it was such a cool idea of a character.
Yeah. There's no mutant in the comics that the Carries, right?
No, they're not based on anything. But the idea was basically, and they explained in an episode that there was a woman, a Native American woman, who had a baby, and instead of a Native American child, it was a young, like, blonde white boy, and they were really confused. But then one day, I think he was like 13 or something, all of a sudden, like, this other person showed up, and it was the other Carrie. They're both named Carrie. So the other Carrie showed up, and it turns out that, like, in certain times where of stress, I guess, whenever he needs someone to come in and because she's the stronger one, she's the one that has the martial arts abilities.
Right.
She will come out. But like Louise said, every time that she comes out, that's the only time that she ages. So Guy Carey is like probably in his 50s, while girl Carrie looks like a teenager.
Yeah.
She hasn't been outside of his body enough to really age that much.
Right.
But
And I find that whole connection really interesting. Like he feels the pain, she feels things like that.
and the whole point in the show where they have the frozen in time sequence where they're inside of everyone's head, like on the mental plane, they're separated. And it's funny the way that they represent the characters in there, because in this like mental thing that they're seeing, no one's a mutant. It's like they're all patients in the psych facility, and Lenny, the character that Audrey Plaza plays, is like their psychotherapist, and they were like always together because they knew that they had to never be separated, but they don't really know why. So they're always seen like just pressed up against each other, and then when they go to bed, they like go to their separate rooms, but their beds are like against the wall, so that they don't have to be that far from each other. It was really interesting to see that, and that I think was one of the scenes where I really, really, really got to like them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she blames him for going off on the astral plane without her.
Yeah.
Because Guy Carey was able to go and do something that would basically rescue everyone during that frozen time sequence when they were about to get shot.
Right. And I thought that time sequence was interesting because that's the one time Sid touches David when she's trying to save him. She wraps herself around him. Otherwise, she doesn't like being touched.
Right. Because of the whole body transfer thing.
Yes, because Sid's ability is that when she touches someone, she transfers bodies with them. If they're mutants, then they switch powers.
Right.
Right.
But it's for a limited time. Like they don't say how long it is either. So where do you think they could go with the next season? Because they went pretty far out there.
Don't ask me, man. I can't believe any of that stuff.
I honestly, it's one of the few shows where I'm like, I have no clue where they can go.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue where they want to go with that. Like, because at this point, they're deviating far from anything that would relate to the comics. I don't know if they're going to use any new characters because Shadow King is still present and still going to be the antagonist. I guess now that it's gotten a following and it's probably going to get an extended second season and bigger budget, probably. I guess, maybe. I don't know. They might pull in some people from the movie universe.
Huh.
That could be an option. Maybe some of the characters, or at least reference some of them.
I think before the end of the series, we're going to get not James Stewart, but James McAvoy on there.
As his father?
Yeah, I think we'll get James McAvoy in there at some point. Not Patrick Stewart, though.
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably put someone in there. I don't know exactly who. I would like to see a few more characters that are from the comics show up. If it doesn't happen, that doesn't bother me because we've seen that they're really good at creating new characters for this show. But one thing I would really, really, really like to see that is something that's in the comics is going into David's head and meeting these different personalities and exploring their powers.
Yes. Yeah,
because in the comics, there are scenes where you're inside his head, you're seeing all these different people, you're seeing what they can do, and it's really fun. It's really exciting.
Right.
So I'd really like to see that, and I'd enjoy seeing David explore abilities that he might have, because at this point, he still doesn't have really any idea what his mutant ability is. We just know that he's powerful and he can do some mind shit.
Yeah. But he's not that Omega level world altering mutant that you know from the comics.
Yeah, literally able to create new alternate timeline level mutant.
But is he up there? Okay, so you've read you've read Legion and you've read about the character. Is he like Franklin Richards level? Is he that powerful?
I mean, he created the Age of Apocalypse.
So he's up there. He's like up there.
He's not in as much control as Franklin is. And the thing with Franklin is he's young.
Franklin's
So
God.
he doesn't have all the control over it, but he's not as dangerous because he's not as out of control of his personality. So Franklin can be led, I guess you should say. Like, Reed will help him.
Yeah.
Like we see in the comics right now, Reed is helping him to remake the Marvel multiverse.
Right.
You couldn't do that with David, especially in the state that he was prior to the most recent Legacy series, where because in the most recent Legacy series, his abilities are compartmentalized, and you see that. Like it's like he has a facility in his head that compartmentalizes each of the different personalities, and when he needs them, he can call upon them.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
It's a lot more safe.
Okay,
Obviously,
that's cool.
shit can always go wrong, and they may or may not go wrong in this book, but that's where we're set off. Before this point, though, they were not compartmentalized. It's a fucking war zone in there where anyone can break out at any time and take control, and he can create universes, but not to a controlled extent that Franklin would. So he's, I think, more dangerous, not necessarily more powerful.
Okay.
Okay.
That's cool. I forgot he created Age of Apocalypse. Did he have a hand in House of M?
No.
No, that's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, that was all Scarlet Witch. And it's been a while since I read it, but if I recall correctly, he was also responsible or partially responsible for the Age of X.
That's what I was thinking about. Age of X. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. They can take it so many places. Like I said, I really do hope they explore more his abilities and his different personalities. And we kind of got a little glimpse of that, I think, with the whole British guy and things like that inside of his head. So I'm really looking forward to that. I really hope they bring out a lot more stuff next season with a bigger budget. And I hope they kind of stick with a shorter season, maybe like a 10-episode season. I think something for this, it works better because they can keep it tight. That's one of the things that I really loved about this. There was no fat to trim. It was really tight. Every episode worked into the next episode really well.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to keep us guessing about what's real and what's not, or just take it off in a completely different direction now that he's gotten control of his faculties.
I believe they should leave that behind.
Yeah,
because it works well for that first season, but after that, it might become way too gimmicky.
yeah, I get it.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
He understands his powers.
It could be. You make a good point that they could kind of go into the realm of too much, where they go so far out there that audiences will be like, "Yeah, okay, I just don't care anymore." Like this is just it's losing me.
Like we've seen this before.
Yeah.
It was the entirety of like several episodes of the first season. Why do we need it again?
Yeah.
So I think explore different powers, explore his mind, give personifications to different personalities that are inside of him. Keep on having battles between people with mental abilities, but don't use the same shit over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But they did really well that even though it was mental craziness that was happening and alternate planes and what's real, what isn't, they did well to keep it like interesting throughout. Like in, I guess, the penultimate issue or episode, they had the black and white silent movie scene.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable.
That was great.
And it was one of the parts that was great about it was that it went from like normal and then slowly, like first you get black and white and like a little bit of sound, and the sound all goes away and you think it's just an effect of like, okay, they're just going for an effect. It's just music that's going to play over the sound instead of any sound. But then you realize that it's because it's meant to be a silent movie, and they do the cue cards like in silent movies, legitimate silent movies, where it shows the black screen with the white text on it in between every time someone says something. So again, that's Noah Hawley playing with interesting ideas on film. And that's one of those things that tells me I don't even remember where my thought was going. I completely lost track there. But it's fucking genius. That's all I'm gonna say.
We'll just stick with it's fucking genius. It's yeah, I mean we've harped on it. We've talked a lot about it tonight. I don't think there's really much else we can say as far as our expectations for next season, because we really don't know where they could go. We really don't. And I'm kind of curious if it's one of those situations where they did the first season and they thought the odds of this getting renewed probably aren't that high, so let's go for broke. Let's got 8 episodes. Let's just knock them out and see what happens.
Let's do Bollywood. Let's do silent film.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just fucking go out there. Let's go for broke. We've got 8 episodes. Let's just go for it, see what happens. Because they announced that it's getting a season 2, but not until late 2018. So I wonder if it's kind of one of those things where they realized, oh shit, we're getting a season 2. We've kind of written ourselves into a little bit of a corner here. How are we going to get out? Or maybe who knows? Maybe they actually know where they're going with it. Because it's happened before where Breaking Bad is actually really famous for this, where they knock out a season and they have no clue where they're going the next season. They just write themselves into a corner and try to write themselves out of it. That's how they did their show.
Another sequence that I was just thinking about was from like episode 5 or 6, where they're inside like everyone's mental plane, like the time freeze thing, and Aubrey Plaza goes off and is like the whole like hot dance sequence.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to officially call that. Like all of a sudden she's dressed in like really scanty clothes, and like it's like the silhouetted dancing on like red lights and stuff. I'm like, oh man, what has this become? It was funny because that was one of the scenes where Megan like walked in on me watching the show. Like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching Legion, babe. What? Is that Aubrey Plaza? Yeah. What is she doing?
She was she was definitely kind of crazy in this. She definitely had like a weird Beetlejuice melting kind of vibe towards the last episode.
Yeah, they did a good job of dressing her up real nice and then uglifying her down.
Oh yeah, and when she's taking that step in the astral plane and it's just like leaving residue behind and it soaks back into him, I was like, oh, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I was really mad because I was like, you're getting everything really fucking dirty. Like, stop it. And my bed, like I have a pretty expensive like white comforter, and we constantly go through the dog like trying to jump up there. Like you're gonna get it fucking dirty, and there's like little brown spots all over it now, and I'm like, this is my nightmare.
I'm the same way. Don't feel bad. I'm the same way with the couch. You're gonna get the couch. Oh great, the dog's on it now. Okay. Oh, there it goes. It's dirty now.
Guys, I'm going to have to tap out. I'm falling asleep as we speak.
Yeah, I got to tap out because Megan already came in and asked me when I was going to be done.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and end this. But yeah, thank you guys once again for joining us. If you're listening to this after the live stream, and if you're listening to this maybe at work or on the car ride or, making love or anything like that, let us know what you thought of this show in the comments section down below. Jess, where can they reach you?
Well, I'm here in Texas right now. You can get me at the Tapatio Springs Resort.
Ooh.
They have the hot sauce out there?
What's that?
Do they have Tapatio hot sauce?
I'll check it out.
It should be in every room.
Maybe that's what the hot springs are made of.
That'd be amazing.
You can reach me on Riley's Facebook page, where I am a subscriber. It's the Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap and Community
Attaboy.
page.
There you go.
Facebook page.
Riley, where can they reach you? This was supposed to be on your channel this week.
Yeah, you can reach me on the channel that doesn't work. The Riley Mo, or you can just search Omnibus Collector. I'm on that same thing that Jess is on that he can't say. I'm on there too. I may or may not run that site. I don't know. And I'm here. I'm stuck here in old ATX, and Mr. Jess is going to be visiting on Monday and Tuesday, so you guys will probably see some footage.
All right.
Maybe some pictures of us eating some good Texas food. Maybe some tacos. Maybe
Yes.
some barbecue. Maybe not. I don't know. We're just gonna wing it. But I know where we're not gonna be is Mondo, because fuck those guys, and they're gonna be closed.
Oh, they are?
That's what people have been telling me.
Oh, that's too bad.
Mondo's.
They said the Mondo Museum is not open until like a Disney exhibit or something like that.
Oh, they closed so they can put that Disney exhibit on?
I guess. I don't know. I honestly, maybe I should have looked into this. But I'm glad someone let us know before I like drove out there with you and was just like, oh.
Yeah, no kidding.
That would have sucked.
Yeah. Well, we
All
can
right.
check it out.
And you can, of course, reach me here. Wait, Riley, did you finish plugging your stuff? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they know where I am. It's all good.
All right. And of course, you can reach me here. The best way to get a hold of me is the Facebook and the Twitter channels linked in the description below. And if you want to help a brother out, Patreon is found down below. Me and Gabe have started a new $10 level Patreon show where every, I want to say, other week we watch a terrible movie, we comment on it. Tomorrow we are doing Super Mario Brothers. So that's going to be real fun. We've done Mortal Kombat already. Mortal Kombat 2, I should say. Not Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2. Which, oh God, that was a dumpster fire. But yeah, check out that stuff. It's found in the description below. And as always, thank you guys so much for checking out this content. And we love you guys. Have a great night.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace.